Gerry, transitioning to the British media war. After the British Army declared a ban on traffic in the Belfast city centre, on Bloody Friday, July 21st, 1972, between 2:15 p.m. and 3:30 p.m., the IRA explodes 21 bombs. To change the narrative of Bloody Sunday, the British Army claimed that the IRA, quote, without warning, were prepared to kill, unquote, innocent civilians and distributed 250,000 leaflets titled The Terror and Tears. However, the Public Protection Agency later confirmed that accurate warning for all 21 bombings was given by the IRA, and the first two bombs, 30 to 73-minute warnings were given, but the RUC and British Army were either unable or failed to act on the warnings. Why wasn't the IRA more successful in the media war?
Well, first of all, the IRA had devised a tactic of economic bombings. And unfortunately, in the course of that, through stupidity on behalf of the IRA, through the British not responding properly, civilians were killed. The IRA always gave warnings in terms of any of these operations. They themselves acknowledged that what happened on Bloody Friday was wrong, and people were killed, and that's I think something which to this day is very, very regrettable, that anyone was killed. And that's why I was at pains when we were talking earlier to point out that this wasn't just a one-sided war, and I'm often asked, am I a member or was I a member of the IRA? And I always say no to that, but I never try to distance myself or to dissociate myself. I think the IRA was a legitimate response in the absence of any unarmed alternative to British military occupation, which is not to say that everything that was done was right, because it wasn't. Some things were absolutely and totally wrong. But in terms of the broad general principle, was armed resistance legitimate to British occupation? My position remains, yes, it was. And part of our endeavour was to find a way to pursue normal democratic demands in a way which made armed actions and armed resistance unnecessary and obsolete. The British, and I referred to this earlier, in terms of having a joined up strategy. So the military were in charge, and the military presided over the normal norms of society. So censorship was prevalent. For most of the period we're talking about, certainly since the early 1980s, I was an elected official, as were others. But we were banned from the airwaves. We weren't able to get across our point of view. And for part of the period, certainly up until the 1970s, Sinn Féin was an illegal organisation. And it's very hard to organise politically, and it's very hard to organise when you're underground, when you're on the run, when you can't meet, when you can't meet in the normal discourse. If this was Ballymurphy in 1972, by this time, this meeting would have been raided. By this time, all of us would have been up against the wall. By this time, some of us would have been on our way to Doncash or someone else. And by this time, you would be saying to your wife, bring me up a food parcel, please, to Doncash. So that's the way it was, and that's the, all of that has changed absolutely in the period since.